Let us sing, give it a try. Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira. Let us sing, come let us sing, come let us sing, come let us sing. Hava Nashira, come let us sing, come let us sing, come let us sing. Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira. Let us sing, come let us sing, come let us sing, come let us sing. Hava Nashira, come let us sing, come let us sing, come let us sing. Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira. Let us sing.
Thank you, Josh. And Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you on Zoom. And for those of us joining us on Facebook and TOS Live and Brookline Public Access TV, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight with us as we celebrate Shabbat. And we're going to have plenty of chances to sing. We're going to also take some time tonight to mark Memorial Day and to honor our fallen soldiers with a special prayer, El Male Rachamim, at the end of the service. I know for some people this is a heavy weekend as you remember friends, family, and loved ones who have died in battle. And for many others, it's a happy weekend marking the unofficial start of summer, and maybe you're off somewhere enjoying a 3-day weekend, or at least looking forward to having Monday off. And don't let those rain forecasts bring you down. I don't care what the weather's going to do. It is time to get out and enjoy ourselves and enjoy summer. And as we get ready to be back in person next Friday night, I hope you'll enjoy one more Zoom Shabbat with all of us together online, and that you'll join us next week in person, and that all the rain will wrap up this weekend so that we can be together outdoors, see each other's faces, and have the chance to pray together. We're going to begin by lighting the candles, and the blessings can be found on page 2. And I just want to give a special shout out. I hope that maybe you got these special matchbooks with your Passover gift bags. And these are some of the best matches I've ever had. I don't want to jinx it, but they've worked every time. And I'm going to be very sad when I've used them all up. So Josh is going to lead us in the blessings on page 2, and then we're going to have a chance to welcome in the angels of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechadlik ner lechadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moachim L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון. מי מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Save them, save them לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון. מי מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We're going to join together at the bottom of page 13 for a couple lines from Psalm 96. Let the fields and the trees exult in joy. I hope you've noticed that the grass is just springing up. Maybe you've had to break out your lawnmower for the first time in a while. But my backyard is overflowing and the leaves are just popping off the trees. So we join them in this joyous psalm, Psalm 96.
יעלו שדי בכל אשר בו יעלו שדי. היי 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 יעלו שדי בכל אשר בו יעלו שדי. היי 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 רננו כל עצי הארץ רננו I'd say, eyes you revenue. Cool, I'd say, eyes you revenue. Cool, I'd say, lose the die. The whole share, yeah, lose the die. Yeah, lose the die. The whole share, yeah, die.
We turn to page 20 for the Chadodi, and we greet the Shabbat bride by singing verses 1 to 5 and 9. And I just want to highlight in the 5th stanza, we say, to awake, awake, your light has come. And in this week's Torah portion, we bring that light. We mount the menorahs in the ark. And so we bring that light to the holy space in the tabernacle. And tonight we bring it with our candles and our joy and our song. We're on page 20 for the Chadodi.
Yalalai b'nei Shabbat nekabelha. Yalalai l'chadodi, yalalai likrat kala. Yalalai b'nei Shabbat nekabelha. Shamor. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad ishmi'anu el hamilchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemo tiferet v'litilah. Chadodi, yalalai likrat kala, yalalai b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נשוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה יאי 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 ילללי לך דודי ילללי לקראת כלה ילללי בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה יאי לי לי ילללי לך דודי ילללי לקראת כלה ילללי בני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום אדרת בלהה גם בשמחה ובזאת עולם תוך אמוני אמסכולה בואי כלה בואי כלה יאי ללי ילללי לך דודי ילללי לקראת כלה ילללי בני שבת נקבלה ילללי לך דודי ילללי לקראת כלה ילללי בני שבת
As we prepare to say our Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92 on page 22, this is normally a chance for us to reflect on something awesome that happened this week. But I want to invite you to think about something a little bit more specific that I'm getting from reading the Hebrew this week. The second line that we say, Me'od amku machshavotecha, literally translates as, how deep are your works? Our translation in the Siddur says, how subtle are your designs? And so I invite you as we sing this Psalm for Shabbat to think about something that you may have seen or experienced this week that felt particularly deep or that was wondrously subtle, and how you experienced that, and to try and bring that feeling with you into Shabbat. We're on page 22.
Hallelujah, 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 Magalu, Masechaya. Please sing any part you like. Magalu, מעשה חייה וביורם ומחשבותיך. הללויה, 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 Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
We turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yamad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uchayedecho beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam ulamei almaya yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama v'imeru amen. We turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, and I invite everybody to unmute if you're comfortable and to join me in rising in body or spirit for the call to worship. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. We're going to continue with our special evening blessing by Noam Katz, which will be appearing on your screen in a moment.
Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, v'choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, v'choshech mipnei or. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim. Please turn to page 32 for Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובגומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ועורף ימינו, ובאמר מגי יומם ולילה, מגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Page 34. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am v'shivtecha b'beitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech Ushochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha ubisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem ve'eretz Mitzrayim v'hiyot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. To paraphrase a famous saying, it is always the exodus from Egypt somewhere. And it is true in this week's Torah portion as we are reminded to celebrate Passover. It is true in our liturgy as we say Michamocha morning and night. And I think it is true on a deeply personal, spiritual, psychological level, as there is always the possibility for us to extract ourselves from a narrow place, from a difficult situation, and to move into a more expansive place, a place of freedom and salvation. And we hope to experience that every time we sing this prayer, the song of redemption, Michamocha, on page 40.
לך בוקע לי לפני משה מרים זה לי אנו ואמרו זה לי אנו ואמרו אדוני לו לעולם ועד אדוני לו לעולם ועד
I know the people of Israel and the state of Israel are very much on people's minds these last couple of weeks, especially as anti-Semitic incidents have grown in frequency in this country and around the world. And I hope that everybody here has felt safety and security and hasn't had to experience any of this rise of anti-Semitism. But even just reading the news, it is anxiety producing, and it brings a sense of concern for our fellow Jews wherever they are in the world. And so let us hold them on our hearts tonight as we ask for protection, as we ask for peace and for safety, and for God to spread over this shelter of peace over Jerusalem and over the people of Israel. We turn to page 42 for Hashkivenu.
Eloheinu v'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim u'shmor tzedkeinu Shalom me'ata ve'arolam Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright, just go to sleep tonight. Everything's gonna be alright, yeah. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright, just go to sleep tonight. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. And let us say, Amen. We turn together to the Amidah on page 46, and I invite you to join me in reciting the first three blessings out loud, and then to take a few moments for your own private prayer or reflection, whether you're using the words in the Siddur or the words in your heart. And we'll join together for our prayer for peace, Osei Shalom, at the end. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imaot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, L'Ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Leoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofe Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata L'Hachayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Ata Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Say shalom bimroha, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'alko Yisrael, ve'alko yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, Shalom Nimroha, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru,
take a moment during tonight's service to offer a prayer for healing for those on our hearts and on our minds. If you'd like to share the names of any loved ones in the chat to be read out loud, please take a moment to share with our community who you're saying Misha Berach for this evening. As a community, we're praying for the healing of Allison Rim, for Linda Grossman, for Linda Hoffman, for Christian Pujado, for Michael Sasportas, for all of those facing COVID in the United States and abroad, for Bernard Gray, for Dennis, who is recovering from surgery. We hold them in our hearts tonight, those who've been mentioned and those who are on our minds. And we turn to page 253 for Misha Berach, our prayer of healing. Thank you, Josh. I want to share a few brief words of Torah this evening. If you're a certain kind of person, the idea of writing a 6-word Devar Torah for each Torah portion might appeal to you. And if you've never thought about doing that, why not start right now? Feel free to share in the chat any of your 6-word Devar Torahs for this week's Torah portion, Baha'alotecha. But if I had to summarize it on one foot, I would say, our ancestors complained, we never stopped. And I'm going to share a few more words than that tonight. I don't know if you'd let me run out of here just quite yet, because I think this week's Torah portion, Baha'alotecha, is an example of the best complaining that our ancestors do in the wilderness. We're about to enter into a stage of difficulty, of wandering, I think of tremendous suffering and a sense of hopelessness. And these complaints, these murmurings are going to continue to show up in different forms throughout this time. But this is the beginning, and we have a series of complaints that show up. And I just want to highlight, because actually they're so beautiful and poetic. The beginning of chapter 11, we're told, Vayehi ha'am kemit onanim ra be'oznei Adonai. The people took to mumbling evil in the ears of the Lord. What a powerful and beautiful image. Vayishma Adonai vayichar apo. And God heard, and his nostrils flared with anger. I know we're not supposed to have images of God in our head, but these anthropomorphic characteristics of the divine, I think, lend a certain powerful state to understanding the suffering that was going on and that need for calling out to God. And so what happened when our ancestors started to complain? A fire of God broke out in the camp, ravaging the camp. And then the people complained again, this time a little differently. Rather than directly to God, they cried out to Moses. And Moses responded with compassion rather than fire, and the fire died down. But almost immediately after this incident, again, there is a murmuring. And this time, the mixed multitude, the group of people who were enslaved or suffering in Egypt, who left with the Israelites when they fled from slavery in Egypt, this group starts to feel a desire for the object of their desire, which is such a beautiful phrase. We don't know really what they were lusting for, they were yearning for. Maybe for each person, they had their own individual object of desire that was pulling on them and making them feel jealous and desireful. But this spread quickly, and so the Israelites wept, literally crying tears, and it manifested amongst the camp as a desire for meat. They said, if only we had meat to eat. And they seemed to imagine this incredible life that they had with melons and cucumbers and leeks and almost an incredible fantasy life in Egypt. And the complaining doesn't actually stop there. It goes all the way up to Moses, who just can't seem to keep going anymore. And Moses says to God, why have you dealt ill with your servant? And why have I not enjoyed your favor, that you have laid the burden of all this people upon me? Did I conceive all this people? Did I bear them, that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a nurse carries an infant, to the land that you have promised on oath to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give all this people, when they whine before me and say, give us meat to eat? I cannot carry all this people by myself, for it is too much for me. If you would deal thus with me, kill me, I beg you, and let me see no more of my wretchedness. Moses is clearly at rock bottom in this moment, and he shares more words of personal feeling and emotion than we hear almost anywhere else in the Torah. For a person who struggled with speech, the suffering must have been pretty great to appeal with such strong language to God in this moment. And in trying to understand why this complaining, this suffering is showing up right now, I think it's helpful to turn to what happens immediately before in this week's Torah portion. And that is that the Israelites have left Mount Sinai, where they've been for over a year. And we're told that they marched from the mountain of God a distance of 3 days. That's quite a journey. And it's also quite a distance to go from a place where you experienced miracles, where you've grown comfortable. And for me, I think this experience resonates with any time I've had to move to a new job, move to a new home. Even when I'm moving towards something that I really want, and sometimes especially if I'm moving towards something that I really want, like the Israelites are moving towards a land flowing with milk and honey, it means leaving behind comfort and security, a place where wonderful things happen, where many memories were made. And it means coming close to a long-held dream, the reality of it though, and not the fantasy. And I think it's both aspects of this. It's leaving a place of comfort and security, even if it's not a happy place, even if we're not thrilled with every aspect of it, and going towards something that we want, that makes this so difficult for the Israelites. It's almost being caught between a rock and a hard place. They're longing for that comfort that they felt at Mount Sinai, and they're about to see if their dreams can come true. And that is incredibly scary. And I think in this moment, they're recoiling. They're complaining because they're afraid. that they're about to encounter this incredible land that they've been hearing about for years, and that they're going to be disappointed. And I think it's something that is really resonating with me right now as we begin to transition out of our homes, out of our quarantine and our bubbles, and back to hopefully a sense of normalcy. I would never choose to live another year like I've lived this year, alone at home, leading services from Zoom without seeing friends and family on a regular basis. I would never opt back into that. And yet there are certain comforts that I have grown quite accustomed to, and I will be sad to leave behind. I don't think you want to see me up in sweatpants on the bima, but that has been one of the comforts of this year. And so there are those little things that make leaving a place difficult. And also, as excited as I am to be together, and as much as every time I am together in person with friends and family and our community, it is wonderful, there's also a certain trepidation that comes with that. Some born out of real health concerns, and some just out of social anxiety, fear of what to say or what to talk about, of not remembering how to talk about anything else but the weather. That makes it a difficult process. And some of us may have already gone through this difficult place and you feel like you're on the other side. And if you have, please bring the rest of us along into that place of freedom and openness and a land flowing with milk and honey. And if you're where I am in that middle ground, I just want to acknowledge it and say, that's okay. That is a place where our ancestors have been. And we too will cross the River Jordan. We too will get back to a sense of normalcy where we can feel comfortable wearing real pants again and talking to people about things other than the weather. It just may take a little bit of time. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to move to the conclusion of our service with Aleinu, which is on page 282.
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בפגועי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ ביום
Take a moment tonight to honor those that we have loved and lost. And I want to honor both our friends, our family, our personal connection, and also the Jewish soldiers who have fought on behalf of the United States of America and who have given their lives so that we may experience freedom. And I want to begin first with members of our community. If you're saying Kaddish for a loved one and you'd like to share their name in the chat this evening to be read out loud. And then I'm going to share on my screen briefly a special prayer written for those soldiers based on the traditional El Malei Rachamim, which we'll recite together before turning to Mourner's Kaddish. As a community, we're saying Mourner's Kaddish this evening for Murray Davidson, the father of Len Davidson, father-in-law of Lori Katzman, grandfather of Michelle and Ashley Davidson, and Rochelle Shelley Leffman, the sister-in-law of Spence Gould and the sister of Betsy Gould, as well as Martin Heyman, the father of Lee Heyman, father-in-law of Lisa Heyman, and grandfather of Evelyn. We add to those names the names of Julia Gray, Harold Jack Weber, who was killed during D-Day, Jean Fortin, and Fran Cooley. And I invite you to share in reading this version of El Malei Rachamim, and afterwards we'll rise together for Mourner's Kaddish. God on high and in our hearts, grant reassuring peace beneath the cover of your presence to all men and women who gave their lives in defense of our country and the freedom of the world. Shelter them among the righteous souls who are as radiant as the luminous firmament. Source of compassion, may we continue to feel their touch on our souls. Hasten the day when peace and security shall prevail, when nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and there shall be no need to prepare for war. May the day come when the world will stand together as one. May the memory of our fallen brothers and sisters serve as an inspiration to us and as a comfort to all their loved ones. And let us say, Amen. In a moment, Josh will share on the screen the yard sites in our community and the words of Mourner's Kaddish. I invite you to join me for these words, which can be found on page 294 in our prayer book. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yama divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye techol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala ubizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha barechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata Damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I want to share a few upcoming announcements. Tomorrow morning, we'll be celebrating the bar mitzvah of one of our students at 10:30. There is a special Zoom link, so check your newsletter to make sure you have that if you can join us. It's not our regular Saturday morning link. And next Thursday at 9, Rabbi Berkman's class, Torah for the Heart and Mind, will be back on. And next Friday, we are going to gather outside in the parking lot. God willing, the weather will be in our favor. And you are welcome to join us for all of our in-person events. We are asking people to sign up, to register in advance. You'll need to fill out a health attestation form on that day. It's very quick and easy, but if you can do that from home, it'll make your lives a lot easier. And don't worry if you're not ready to be with us in person, or if that is not a possibility, we will also be sharing that service virtually that night, and you can join us virtually as well. We are going to conclude tonight with that beautiful melody that Josh shared at the beginning, Hava Nashira. And I hope that, I'm in a rush, Josh. I forgot. I brought out my grape juice and my challah. And so if you have some wine or some grape juice and you can join me for Kiddush and Motzi, we'll do that first, and then we will conclude with the beautiful melody that Josh taught us at the beginning. We're on page 5 in our Siddur. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu, b'shabbat kodsho b'ahavadu v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, V'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahavadu v'ratzon hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. And if you have some bread or some challah, please join me in the motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
This melody was written by a fellow artist and one of my very good friends, Rob Aronson. Havana Shira. Come let us sing. Sing it out. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Havana Shira. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Havana Shira. Havana Shira. Havana Shira. Havana Shira. Let us sing. Sing it out. Havana Shira. Havana Shira. Havana Shira. Let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Havana Shira. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Havana Shira. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Havana Shira. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Havana Shira. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to turn off the live stream, and you're welcome to sit